Hey, and welcome to the Gallant Goblin. I'm Theo, and today we are doing a dive into our Starfinder 2nd Edition core rulebooks. Starting here with Player Core. It is a full-on relaunch of what it means to play Starfinder. So let's strap in. Enhance and improve your 5e games today with Hit Point Press. Explore the cute but deceptively deep campaign setting of Humblewood, where a new threat imperils the peace between the Humblefolk and the Birdfolk. Or enhance your 5e games with animated spell, condition, and townsfolk cards. Add a slew of creative and gorgeously illustrated magical items with the Griffon Saddlebag. And face innovative new bosses each month with their series of big bads. Learn more today at Hit Point Press by using our link in the corner or down below. Let's talk about what's new, what's changed, and why this book is the future of the Pact Worlds and beyond. So first off, what is this book? Starfinder Player Core is your one-stop shop for character creation in 2e. We are talking 6 classes, 10 ancestries with heritages, new versatile heritages, we'll come back to those in a second, background skills, feats, spells, and gear, and crucially is designed from the ground up to sync cleanly with Pathfinder 2e's rule set, meaning if you've been playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you are going to be able to jump right in. Let's talk real quick about the shift from 1e to 2e. 1e got pretty complicated at higher levels. Player Core adopts the same proficiency with level structure as Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so scaling is cleaner with threats more predictable. You can just build for flavor and story, and you know you're going to be mechanically sound. Combat uses a 3-action economy just like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which makes every turn more flexible and cinematic. Each class has a cleaner chassis and a clear identity. Solarian, Mystic, Operative, they've all been updated with better internal balance and fresh feats. And every ancestry, of course, has its own heritages, plus versatile heritages that add even more flavor customization across all the ancestries. So this isn't just polish, this is a redesign. Tighter math, cleaner turns, and way more player agency. And you don't have to learn 2 entirely different systems to play both Pathfinder and Starfinder, which is what held me back from fully diving into this first edition. So let's talk about veteran Starfinder players and what they want to know. You've still got your core species, androids, Vesk, Ysoki, etc., but every one of them has been rewritten with new attribute options and feat trees and deeper lore hooks. You'll also find Barai, who are half-living, half-undead folks, and Prismini, drift-touched beings, both as versatile heritages, meaning that you can take them with any ancestry, be a Barai Ysoki or a Prismini Vesk. We get 6 playable classes right out of the gate here. Envoy, your classic face support hybrid. Mystic, divine psychic casters with sanctified spell options. Holy and unholy traits are in now. Operative, your mobile skill monkey and ambusher. Solarian, focused on balance with reworked photon graviton mechanics. Soldier, your customizable martial powerhouse. And Witch Warper, your chaos bringing spellcaster, pulling power from those alternate realities. Expect tight class feat ladders and archetypes on top of that foundation. Characters can now carry a holy or an unholy trait, which interacts with your sanctified spells and abilities too. It's a subtle alignment adjacent system, but it adds meaningful flavor and mechanical impact to your choices. And of course, backgrounds. Every character gets a background that gives you 2 attribute boosts, a trained skill, and a skill feat. Backgrounds now tell you little micro stories, from being raised on the frontier planet to being a drift scavenger to growing up in a corporate habitat. This encourages flavorful builds without having to sacrifice optimization. Also, character creation is now faster and more intuitive. You start with a clear structure and the book walks you through it like a character building assistant. It's approachable, but it still has some teeth. I always describe Pathfinder and now Starfinder as a game that trades in a little bit of simplicity for a larger rules playground, which enables you, the player, to build a character that's unique to you. While in some games, one 5th level paladin is pretty much the same as any other 5th level paladin, in Starfinder, I promise you, your character is going to be one of a kind. The new Player Core really leans into roleplay hooks, crunchy but manageable combat, modular mechanics, and all the science fantasy shenanigans that makes this setting so much fun. Now let's shift gears and talk about GM Core. If Player Core is your storytelling toolbox, GM Core is the blueprint for building your game skeleton, muscles, and beating heart. It'll teach you how to build and run your campaigns. But you are probably savvy about this stuff if you're watching this, so let's talk about some surprises in this book. First, the subsystem section is one of the crown jewels of GM Core. We're not talking about a few alternate rules. You're getting fully modular frameworks that can shape entire adventures. This is one of my favorite things about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and it is great to see it rolled into Starfinder. You want a heist with shifting loyalties and rising tension? The Influence subsystem makes that feel like political combat. You want a pulse-pounding race through a corporate arcology? The Chase rules make it cinematic and easier to manage. You get frameworks for hacking, infiltration, research, vehicles, and yes, cinematic starship scenes that lean into story beats over hard tactics, but more on that in a sec. And because they're standardized, you can plug them into your homebrew or published adventures alike without breaking stride. But let's talk about the space elephant in the room, starship combat. If you play Starfinder 1st Edition, you probably have feelings about the original Starship system. It was ambitious, but let's be honest, it could be sometimes slow, rigid, and it kind of struggled to deliver the high-energy cinematic space battles that we all wanted. In GM Core, Paizo doesn't just patch it, they reimagine it. You now have cinematic starship rules that are lightweight, narrative first, and built to deliver drama instead of having to dig into spreadsheets. These rules emphasize collaborative, fast-paced action where players describe wild maneuvers, reroute power with sparks flying, and pull off desperate gambits. Cinematic starship combat is presented like complex hazards. A starship encounter has its own stat block with victory conditions, objectives, AC, shields, starship actions, threats, initiative, skills, and threat routines to make controlling the enemies easy for the game master. It should make rolling through a starship encounter feel much more fluid and an extension of the rules your players already know, rather than an entirely new system that feels like a different game entirely. But I know there are folks out there who love that more complex tactical take on starship combat, and Paizo isn't leaving you behind. We will have those more complex starship and tactical space combat rules coming soon. But now this book is going to be essential for folks who do want to homebrew your own campaigns. You've got guidance not just for encounter balance, but for building entirely new worlds and settlements, factions, items, and hazards. Want to make a time-traveling biochemical god in a city that shifts between dimensions every 12 hours? This book gives you structure for that. It even helps you define campaign's genre and your pacing and your tone. Now, since Pathfinder and Starfinder are using essentially the same engine now, what's stopping us from doing a little cheeky mixing and matching? Absolutely nothing, but you do have to give some consideration to potential hurdles like the effects of mixing class feats from Pathfinder and Starfinder when you take multi-classing archetypes that weren't originally designed to go together. Luckily, GM Core gives you a whole chapter of guidance on getting a little Pathfinder in your Starfinder and vice versa. So this book is essentially adding 6 additional classes to your Pathfinder games as well. But if you want to use classes, background spells, items, monsters, and more between your 2 games, you're going to want to pick up GM Core to make the process as balanced and smooth as possible. It'll let you know about any adjustments you need to make to keep things balanced and fun. But come on, I know you'll want to see what happens if you drop a couple of plasma rifles into your Kingmaker campaign. Now, I am going to tease you just a little bit. Alien Core is still several months away, but I managed to do a little bit of charming and persuasion to get you an exclusive preview of a couple of aliens coming to your table later this year. First, allow me to introduce you to the Turgator. These enormous Earth elementals augment their bodies with materials harvested from the asteroids where they live. They love competition, especially if they get a chance to end a fight with their devastating meteoric death drop. Every superstar needs their RKO. And these tech-laden beauties here are called Oma. They are starship-sized space whales that sing a haunting telepathic star song as they travel the cosmos. If you've ever watched Star Trek, you know nothing bad ever comes from having whales in space. Though they've been studied extensively, with some enterprising engineers even turning them into living starships, much about them still remains a mystery. And for those of you who love their living weapons, we have the Argsheth. These living cannons are powerful warriors in the eternal battle between heaven and the fiends. Archsheths travel the cosmos and have been known to offer their assistance to pure-hearted mortals. They're able to transform themselves into powerful armaments to be wielded in battles against corruption and evil across the galaxy. Starfinder Alien Core brings you over 200 weird and wild alien creatures, from glitching gremlins to psychic spiderfolk to brand new space dragons themed to the 4 magical traditions. This is your monster core for Starfinder 2nd Edition, packed with allies and enemies across every level, plus simple tools to reskin and customize creatures for any tech or magic level. And because it's fully Pathfinder 2e compatible, you can drop these aliens into your fantasy Pathfinder campaigns as well. I mean, now that you drop those plasma rifles into your Kingmaker campaign, you may as well give them a few nanite-infused Elgothus or laser wolves just to balance things out. Finally, when I'm getting ready to GM a new campaign, I like to immerse myself into both the lore and the genre of the adventure I'm about to run. A great way to do that for Starfinder is a brand new Starfinder novel by Hugo Award-winning author and senior editor at Locus Magazine, Tim Pratt, Era of the Eclipse. It is the perfect entry point to the Starfinder universe, especially if you've ever been intrigued by the biggest mystery in the setting, the Gap. The story follows two timelines. First, you've got Tercel, an android who wakes up on Absalom Station the day after the Gap with no memory, trying to piece together their identity in a galaxy that is reeling from a cosmic memory wipe. Then in the present, you've got two newbie Starfinders who you may be familiar with. Day, your iconic Solarian, and one of my personal favorites, Chick, the iconic Mystic, who stumble into a secret that ties them directly to Tercel's forgotten past. And we also have one of my other favorite Starfinder characters, the undead celebrity Zoe! Exclamation point. Plus, you got power grabs by the early Hell Knights, and a gift from Eureka, the goddess of knowledge, that might just hold the truth about what caused the Gap in the first place. It is hopeful, it is dangerous, it's got stakes, and it is setting the tone for Starfinder 2nd Edition. I just got my hands on an early copy, and I'm reading through it now, but I have been told that there's some pretty big lore reveals in this book, so if you are a lore nerd like me, add it to your wish list. And if you're jumping into Starfinder for the first time, or you just want to get up close and personal with one of the biggest events in Starfinder lore, check out Era of the Eclipse at all your favorite bookstores very soon here. I don't know about you, but 2E is what I've been waiting for to dive back into Starfinder. My bandwidth is limited in this old noggin, so trying to bounce back and forth between different rule systems was a big challenge for me. But now that we are under one big 2E umbrella, I am stoked to dock at Absalom Station and reacquaint myself with my favorite sci-fi RPG setting. Thank you for watching today. For now, though, please stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.